after my termination letter, there is now another communique that came out a few days ago where basically I am being accused of a slew of things. Projects that I initiated in order to deliver on my mandate, they are now claiming they were not AU supported, which is quite ridiculous. Because those projects were based on what I used to request my budget. There was no budget when I first came in, the first year. So I had to present a budget specifically stating what activities I wanted to engage in order to deliver on my mandate, which the two mandates are promoting Africa in the Americas, as well as galvanizing the African diaspora to participate in the development of Africa. That I did. The budget was given. I proceeded with creating the programs. These programs, quarterly, I would report back to the headquarters every program that I would have implemented. The main three ones were, for example, I organized the women into an association that they called the Pan-African Diaspora Women. This was not a registered entity. It was only a social organization for the purposes of diaspora women coming to the mission and discussing issues pertaining to the women. I also created the Pan-African Diaspora Youth. This was for young people. Also, they would come and would discuss their issues. And then, of course, we did the same thing with men. I took this opportunity to educate and inform the diaspora women and the diaspora youth and the men about the activities of the African Union, updates on decisions from the African heads of states. So it was really a very dynamic group of people, but it was difficult to all of us meet at the same time on their own. As women, as youth, as men, they would then have their own sessions and discuss their issues separately. So it worked very well in terms of promoting and galvanizing the African diaspora and making everybody feel that they were part of the process. So those were three. Trying to claim that I registered them illegally. They're not registered. I simply brought the diaspora together, which was part of my mandate. The other thing they're accusing me of having done, I had a program which was a joint activity between the State Department and the African Union Mission. The young African leaders from the continent came together and spent a day with young African leaders in the diaspora. It was a beautiful event. The youth engaged with each other. It is those kind of relationships that are going to give us the results that we need. Some of them have engaged in relationships that have lasted even to this day. That is what we need. We need to engage our young people. Again, even though this was with the State Department, they say it's not part of the AU program. The other program that I implemented was Miss African Union. It was an amazing event. We brought in African tradition, African wear. It was a 5-hour event. The dancers were the ghetto kids from Rwanda. We had the Rwandese traditional dancers, the ghetto kids from Uganda, and the Ndebele dancers. Amazing, amazing evening. All the contestants wore African clothes. The judges and the contestants had to learn about Berlin Conference, the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization, OAU, AU, all the way to the African Continental Free Trade Area. It was educational. And it's all part of promoting Africa in the United States, but at the same time, also promoting African textile trade and industry. All those projects, they were part of implementation of my mandate. So to then turn around and say they were not part of the African Union, that is ludicrous. Every quarter, I would report every activity. It is a requirement that I have the quarterly activity report. All those activities were reported. There was never a question of whether or not these were African Union projects.